The bustling Miami International Airport was alive with the usual cacophony of rolling suitcases, hurried footsteps, and the occasional announcement crackling over the loudspeakers. It was a warm summer evening, and Gate C-17 was preparing to board passengers onto Flight 452 to Washington, D.C. The check-in line moved steadily as travelers handed over their tickets, eager to get settled for the journey ahead. Standing at the gate podium was Lauren Michaels, a seasoned flight attendant in her early 30s with a sharp gaze and an air of quiet confidence. She had been in the industry for almost a decade, having worked her way up from a junior stewardess to a lead flight attendant. Lauren had always prided herself on her strong convictions and progressive beliefs, values she carried with her in every aspect of her life, including her job. That evening, as the first-class passengers began approaching the boarding line, Lauren suddenly felt her stomach tighten. Walking toward the gate was none other than Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida. Lauren recognized her instantly. Bondi had been a controversial figure for years, known for her hardline conservative policies and close ties with the Trump administration. Lauren, a vocal advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and social justice, had spent years resenting politicians like Bondi, whom she saw as enablers of discrimination. As Pam Bondi reached the front of the line, she extended her boarding pass with a polite but indifferent smile. Lauren hesitated. Her fingers brushed the scanner, but she didn't press it. Instead, she looked up at Bondi with an expression that was both firm and unreadable. "I'm sorry, ma'am," Lauren said, keeping her voice even. "I can't allow you to board this flight." Bondi blinked, taken aback. "Excuse me?" Lauren squared her shoulders. "I'm denying you boarding. I don't feel comfortable having you on this flight." A murmur spread through the passengers in line. The nearby co-pilot, who had been casually glancing at his tablet, now looked up with a confused frown. A businessman in a suit leaned forward, trying to listen in. Bondi's face remained calm, but her tone sharpened. "And what exactly is the reason for this?" Lauren lifted her chin. "I don't believe in serving individuals who have worked against the rights of marginalized communities. You've been an opponent of LGBTQ+ rights for years, and I don't feel safe having you on this flight." Gasps erupted from those who overheard. A woman in her 60s shook her head, mumbling something about professionalism. A younger man in a hoodie pulled out his phone, likely recording the unfolding scene. Pam Bondi inhaled deeply, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she glanced at the flight attendant's name tag. "Lauren, is it? You do realize that this is a commercial airline and not your personal political arena, right?" Lauren felt her pulse race. She wasn't sure if she had fully thought through the consequences of her actions. All she knew was that she couldn't, in good conscience, let someone like Pam Bondi onto her flight. Bondi crossed her arms. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor." Lauren hesitated. A part of her knew that this would escalate quickly, but another part of her refused to back down. "I am the senior flight attendant on this flight," she said firmly. "That's not what I asked," Bondi shot back. A moment of tense silence stretched between them. Then, from behind the gate desk, Lauren's station manager, Mark Hendricks, stepped forward. He was a stout man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair, a no-nonsense demeanor, and the kind of experience that made him wary of unnecessary drama. "What's going on here?" Mark asked, eyeing the small crowd that had gathered. Before Lauren could answer, Bondi spoke first. "This flight attendant just refused to let me board without any valid reason." Mark's brows furrowed, and he turned to Lauren. "Is this true?" Lauren swallowed hard. "I have a reason, Mark. I don't feel comfortable with this passenger on board." Mark blinked, looking incredulous. "Lauren, unless she's a security risk or violating federal aviation laws, we have no grounds to deny her boarding." Lauren's jaw tightened. "I believe she's a risk to the safety and comfort of other passengers." Mark held up a hand. "Lauren, stop. This is a major issue. We can't make personal decisions about who flies based on politics." Bondi gave Lauren a long, measured look before turning back to Mark. "I expect this situation to be handled properly." Mark sighed, then turned back to Lauren. "You need to let her board. Now." Lauren's hands trembled slightly, but she took a deep breath. She had already made her stand, and she wasn't going to back down. "I can't," she said firmly. Mark's expression darkened. "Then I'm afraid we have a much bigger problem." A hushed tension blanketed the gate area as passengers murmured among themselves, some whispering in disbelief while others discreetly filmed the scene on their phones. Pam Bondi stood firm, arms crossed, her gaze locked on Lauren, who remained rooted in place behind the podium. Mark Hendricks, the station manager, exhaled sharply and pulled Lauren aside. "Lauren, I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is unacceptable." Lauren's hands clenched into fists. "Mark, I don't think it's right to let her board. She spent years pushing policies that hurt LGBTQ+ people, that hurt women's rights." Mark shook his head. "This is a commercial airline, not a protest rally. We have strict policies, and denying a passenger based on personal or political views is against federal aviation regulations." Lauren's heart pounded in her chest. She had worked for this airline for years, dedicating herself to safety and customer service. But this was different. This was about principles. Mark pinched the bridge of his nose. "Look, I get that you have strong beliefs, but that doesn't give you the right to refuse service to a paying customer without legitimate cause. If you don't scan that ticket, you're forcing my hand." Bondi, still standing a few feet away, was watching with calculated patience. She didn't look angry. If anything, she seemed amused. Lauren took a breath. She had a choice. Back down and let Pam Bondi board, or stand her ground and face the consequences. She squared her shoulders. "I can't do it, Mark." Mark's eyes darkened. "Then you're done here." The words hit like a slap. Passengers around them gasped. A young woman in line muttered, "Holy sh*T," while a businessman shook his head in disapproval. A few people even clapped quietly, supporting Lauren's defiance. Lauren's stomach dropped. "Mark, wait." But Mark was already waving over two other flight attendants. "Rebecca, James, take over." "Lauren, I need you to step away from the podium." Lauren's breath hitched. She had expected pushback, but she hadn't thought it would escalate this fast. Pam Bondi, meanwhile, arched an eyebrow. "Well, that was quick." Lauren turned to her, chest heaving. "People like you don't deserve a free pass." Bondi's lips curled into a smirk. "And people like you don't keep their jobs long when they break the rules." Lauren felt the sting of those words deep in her gut. She had just lost everything in a matter of minutes. Mark motioned toward security. "Escort her out of the gate area." A uniformed officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Lauren's head spun. It was over. Passengers whispered among themselves. Some looked sympathetic, others indifferent. A man in a MAGA hat gave a quiet chuckle, while a woman in a rainbow pin mouthed "thank you" as Lauren passed. She swallowed hard, blinking back tears. As she walked away, the weight of what had just happened crashed down on her. This wasn't just about a flight. It was about something bigger. She had made her stand, and now she had to face the consequences. Lauren sat in the back of a rideshare, her hands still trembling as she replayed the last hour in her head. The Miami skyline blurred past, but she barely noticed. Her phone buzzed endlessly in her lap. Messages, missed calls, and notifications exploding across her screen. She knew the story was going to spread. By the time she got home to her small apartment, her worst fears had already materialized. The incident at the airport had gone viral. A video of her confrontation with Pam Bondi was all over social media. The clip, posted by a passenger, had already racked up over 2.3 million views in just an hour. At Political Pulse, liberal flight attendant refuses service to Pam Bondi, gets fired on the spot. Should politics determine who gets to fly? Fire, fire, fire. At Conservative Watch, breaking. Woke airline worker refuses to let a former AG board a flight. Who's really intolerant here? At Progressive Voice, this flight attendant took a stand against hate. She lost her job, but she didn't lose her morals. Lauren's hands tightened around her phone. Everyone had an opinion. Some praised her. At Blue Wave Girl, Lauren Michaels is a hero. She took a stand when no one else would. She deserves our support. Blue heart, blue heart, blue heart. Others ripped her apart. At America First? Good riddance. People like her shouldn't be anywhere near customer service. Her personal information had already started surfacing in certain online forums. A screenshot of her LinkedIn profile. An old tweet she had posted about hating Trump's policies. Even an old picture from college, where she had attended an LGBTQ+ rally. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't just about losing her job anymore. She was being dragged through the fire. Pam Bondi speaks out. On Fox News, Pam Bondi was already sitting down for an exclusive interview. The host, Tucker Whitman, leaned in, his expression serious. Pam, take us through what happened at the airport. Bondi gave a practiced sigh. Honestly, Tucker, I was shocked. I've been in public service for years, and I never thought I'd be denied basic travel rights because of my political beliefs. Whitman nodded, looking outraged. It's unbelievable. This is the real intolerance in America. Liberals preach about inclusivity, but when it comes to someone they don't agree with, they turn into bullies. Bondi nodded. Exactly. And here's the real kicker. She wasn't just rude. She targeted me. She told me to my face that she didn't feel safe letting me on the flight. What kind of nonsense is that? The screen cut to footage of Lauren, standing stiffly behind the gate desk, refusing to let Bondi board. The video paused on Lauren's face, frozen in determination. Whitman shook his head. Pam, I hope the airline takes real action against this kind of discrimination. Oh, they already have, Bondi said, smiling. She was fired immediately. Whitman smirked. Justice was served. Lauren's phone rang. It was her best friend, Maya. Lauren, are you okay? Maya's voice was breathless. Lauren swallowed. I don't know. Your name is all over Twitter. They're calling you everything from a hero to a radical lunatic. Fox News is eating this up. I know, Lauren whispered. Maya hesitated. And the airline just released a statement. Lauren's chest tightened. What? Maya read aloud. Statement from Skyway Airlines. Skyway Airlines is committed to providing safe, professional service to all passengers, regardless of political beliefs. The actions of one individual do not reflect our company's values. The employee involved is no longer with the airline. Lauren exhaled sharply. It was official. She was fired. And now the entire country was watching. Lauren sat on her couch, staring blankly at her phone as it continued to light up with notifications. She felt like she was in freefall. Just yesterday, she had been a respected flight attendant, a professional with a steady income. Now she was a political lightning rod. Her inbox was flooded. Some messages were supportive, others were downright threatening. At Patriot 1776, we know where you live, you liberal snowflake. Hope you never work again. At LGBTQ United, Lauren, we stand with you. You showed courage. DM us. We want to help. Her stomach churned as she scrolled through the chaos. Her personal Facebook account had been hacked, and her family's address had been leaked on a far-right forum. Then, a new notification appeared. Call incoming, Maya. She picked up, her voice hollow. Maya. Lauren. Maya's voice was urgent. You need to lawyer up. Now. Lauren frowned. What? Pam Bondi is considering legal action against you. Lauren froze. You're kidding. I wish I was. Fox News just ran a segment saying she might sue for defamation and discrimination. Lauren let out a bitter laugh. She was denied a flight for 5 minutes, and now she's claiming she's a victim? It's deeper than that, Maya said. She's making this a test case for so-called reverse discrimination. The conservative media machine is milking this for all it's worth. Lauren rubbed her temples. Great. So I lose my job, get doxxed, and now I might get sued. It's worse than that, Maya muttered. They're trying to ruin your entire future. Enter the lawyers. Lauren didn't wait. Within hours, she was sitting in a sleek office in downtown Miami, across from Jordan Blake, a civil rights attorney who had handled high-profile discrimination cases. Blake leaned back in his chair, reviewing the news clips on his laptop. This is bad, he admitted. But it's also an opportunity. Opportunity? Lauren scoffed. I lost my job. Blake nodded. And they think they've won. But here's the thing, what Skyway Airlines did was completely reactionary. They fired you without a hearing, without an official investigation, and because of a political firestorm, not actual misconduct. Lauren's brow furrowed. So, what are you saying? Blake smiled slightly. I'm saying we sue them first. Lauren's breath caught. Sue? Skyway? Blake nodded. Wrongful termination, retaliation, violation of fair employment practices. He tapped his laptop screen. They threw you under the bus to appease Bondi and the right-wing mob. That's not legal. Lauren blinked. The thought of fighting back hadn't even crossed her mind. Blake leaned in. Lauren, I know you're scared, but this isn't just about you anymore. This is about who gets to take a stand in this country. A slow fire ignited in Lauren's chest. She had lost her job. She had been vilified. But maybe, just maybe, she wasn't out of the fight yet. Lauren sat in the back of the courtroom, her hands clasped together as she listened to the legal arguments being thrown back and forth. The lawsuit had exploded in the media, drawing nationwide attention. Skyway Airlines had fired her without due process, and now she was fighting back. Pam Bondi wasn't in court today. She had already milked her victim narrative on cable news and social media. But Skyway's legal team was here, led by a sharp-suited attorney who looked like he had been flown in just to bury her case. Jordan Blake, her lawyer, leaned toward her. Stay calm. They're trying to frame this as a simple HR decision, but we have evidence that it was a politically motivated firing. Lauren nodded, her pulse quickening. The judge, a stern-looking woman with silver hair, cleared her throat. Let's proceed with arguments. The battle for justice. Skyway's lawyer stepped up first. Your Honor, this case is not about politics. Ms. Michaels violated company policy by refusing service to a paying passenger without just cause. The airline had every right to terminate her employment. Blake stood up. Respectfully, Your Honor, that's not what happened. Ms. Michaels acted on her genuine concerns regarding passenger safety. Skyway Airlines fired her on the spot, without due process, because of political pressure. The judge raised an eyebrow. Do you have evidence that the firing was politically motivated? Blake nodded. Absolutely. He pulled up emails obtained from Skyway's HR department, which had been leaked anonymously. The emails showed executives scrambling after conservative media outlets started calling them, pressuring them to take action. One email in particular stood out. We need to get ahead of this before Fox News buries us. Terminate her immediately. Lauren's stomach twisted. That was the smoking gun. Skyway's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Your Honor, these emails were obtained. The judge held up a hand. They're admissible. She glanced at Blake. Continue. Blake pressed forward. Ms. Michaels was not given a hearing, not given a chance to explain herself, and was fired within minutes because of online outrage. That is not just unfair. It's illegal. The courtroom was silent. The judge sighed. I will be reviewing all presented evidence, but based on what I've seen so far, Ms. Michaels' wrongful termination case has merit. Lauren barely breathed. Then, the judge said the words she had desperately been hoping to hear. This case will proceed to trial. The aftermath. As Lauren stepped outside the courthouse, she was swarmed by reporters. Lauren, how do you feel about the judge's ruling? Do you regret refusing to let Pam Bondi board? Are you prepared for a long legal battle? Lauren took a deep breath. She looked at the flashing cameras, at the microphones pushed toward her face, and then at Jordan Blake. She had almost lost everything, but now she had a chance to fight back. She straightened her shoulders, looked directly into the cameras, and said, This isn't just about me. It's about whether corporations can fire people over political pressure. Today, we took the first step toward justice. As the media exploded with headlines, Lauren knew one thing for certain. This fight wasn't over. It was just beginning.